Vice President Kamala Harris has teased some of the central tenets of her economic agenda, which is set to be unveiled today during a policy speech in North Carolina. This morning, she announced several proposals for her first 100 days in office, including a tax incentive to build a starter home and up to $25,000 in down payment assistance to first-time home buyers, expanding the child tax credit, and a tax cut for lower-income individuals and couples. Meanwhile, former President Donald Trump spoke to reporters from his golf club in New Jersey yesterday. He was expected to speak about the economy, but he spent much of the time attacking Harris over immigration and energy policies. Our Jake Rosen is covering the Trump campaign for us this morning, and we're going to start with CBS News senior White House correspondent Weijia Jiang, who is following the Harris campaign. All right, Weijia, so what can we expect from Harris when she speaks in North Carolina? What's she going to be focusing on, and how important is this state to her as she looks towards the November election?
Well, Anne-Marie, North Carolina is just one of really over a handful of battleground states that are in play that really could determine the election. So it is a critically important state that Trump won in both 2016 and 2020, but by very little in 2020. And now the polls show that she actually has an edge over Trump in this state. And this is where she'll be unveiling her very first policy speech that is set to focus on the economy, mentioning all those things that you just outlined. So these are just proposals, to be clear. These are not things that she can take action unilaterally if she were to become president, but she does have a lot of new ideas that you see on your screen here, really focused on cutting costs for the middle class and creating new economic opportunities, according to her team. And so she will spell out, what those ideas are and how she plans to achieve them in this speech in North Carolina.
So, speaking of that, as you know, President Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris appeared on the same stage just yesterday, and he was actually asked about his economic policies. I want to play a little sound.
How much does it bother you that Vice President Harris might soon, for political reasons, start to distance herself from your economic
She's not
plan?
going to.
So, as you know, part of what Republicans are saying is that, hey, if you vote for Kamala Harris, you're just getting Biden all over again. Now that we're getting a better sense of what some of her economic policies might look like, how do they compare to Biden's?
Well, the White House has said as much as well, that, let's not forget this is the Biden-Harris administration and that she was a partner during all of the development of Biden's policy issues. So it is difficult for her to detach herself from those, but she's trying to build on them in a way that kind of puts her own signature on it. But one thing that is common, Anne-Marie, is a focus on social infrastructure. You may remember years ago we were talking about the president's infrastructure bill, not when it came to roads and bridges, but when it came to, the social network that could help people get things done, like paid and medical family leave. And so when you look at her ideas, a lot of them stem from the same core, which is to give people more opportunities economically so they can focus on other things.
So we are also just days away from the Democratic National Convention. It starts next week. What can you tell us about what we know so far about how it's going to unfold, who's going to be in attendance?
We know that President Biden will deliver really the first keynote address on the first day of the convention, which is Monday night. And we expect this will be a bit of a farewell speech, also touting his legacy. But remember, he was going to be delivering the presidential nomination speech up until about a month ago. And so this is going to be very different from what he anticipated for quite some time. We also know that the Clintons will be there, the Obamas. Tim Walz will deliver a speech on Wednesday, right before the vice president delivers her speech, probably the biggest one of her career, on Thursday night. And Anne-Marie, we do expect this is going to be a star-studded convention. We know that Kerry Washington will be up on the stage, as well as Mindy Kaling. And there are some big questions and rumors swirling about other potential entertainment performers. We don't have any of those confirmed yet, but safe to say that it is going to be a big event when it comes to star power from Hollywood.
We know who did not attend the Republican convention, any of the other Republican presidents that are still living. What about who may not be attending the Democratic convention?
Well, as I just mentioned, those former presidents are expected to be there, as well as a representative from Jimmy Carter's family. And so, we are still trying to dig into our reporting, Anne-Marie, but those are some pretty big names when it comes to who will be there, along with several Democratic governors who will also be there to show their support. I guess in terms of who's not confirmed yet, everyone's wondering if Beyonce is going to perform.
Oh.
And so far, she has not said yes. She has not even formally endorsed Harris, but that is in the rumor mill, if you will, that we are not going to continue. So I'll just say that has not been officially added to the list.
Yeah, that would be quite a get. We know that she's been using her song. All right, Weijia, thank you very much.
Sure.
A reminder, the Democratic National Convention kicks off next week. CBS News will have special coverage of the events in Chicago starting Monday, August 19th at 5 p.m. Eastern.